Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We are in the Raptor today and we are about to go do our first oil change. We are at 7% now. A little over 5,000 miles. The truck has not told me to get an oil change yet, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. Now the other thing is, I am going to replace the original oil pan plug, the drain plug. Now I know there's been a lot of complaints about them. Some people got plastic ones. Honestly, I don't know if I have the yellow plastic one or if I have a metal one. We'll find out. But Ronin factory does make a quick release, I guess you would call it, oil drain plug. And what this does is it replaces the OEM drain plug. And with this, you never have to unscrew it and take it out. What you do is they give you a little funnel, basically, or a little screw-in mechanism that pushes a spring back and lets the oil flow out. Then you remove, you take that little attachment off, and the plug seals itself automatically. There's a little cap for it. I'll show it all to you as we get to it. So now let's get over to the location and we'll get started. Okay guys, so while we're waiting for the vehicle to cool down a little bit, let's just talk about a couple of the tools and a couple of the panels you need to take off. So you're going to need a T40 Torx bit to take the access panel off, which is right here. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then underneath the passenger side seat, if you can get back here, there's this little cover right here. That looks like 2 bolts. Those are going to be 10 millimeters.
Yeah.
Okay, so look at that. I do have a metal, and it's still quite hot, but I do have a metal drain plug, so that's pretty cool. Maybe only the 17s had those yellow plastic ones. I don't know. Obviously, Ford quickly realized there was a problem. Maybe at some point in 18 they switched over. I'm not sure, but again, mine is right there, very easy to get to. And okay, while we're still waiting for the vehicle to cool down a little bit, let's talk about the Ronin quick change oil plug. So I've actually had this thing almost a year. I think it was still in the prototype phase. Now this is not a sponsored video. They did not give it to me. I did buy it. But it wasn't in the complete packaging yet, so it's kind of wrapped up. So if you get one of these, I'm sure it's going to come nicely boxed and everything else. But like I said, they had just finished the prototype. I was one of the first ones, and they offered it to me because, well, to buy it because I was buying one of their 50 cal antennas, the bullet antenna, which I'm sure you've seen on my vehicle. So this is the plug and this is the spring that you have to make sure is seated. So what the instructions tell you to do is, of course, after you dump all your oil, is to take this, start with their little logo facing up, and turn it in. Now you're going to have to push. There's going to be a little bit of force because you are putting force against this spring right here, and that's what's going to create, I guess, some tension. So once it's in there and fully installed, I believe the notch is going to be up. Well, let's double check just to make sure I'm not quoting you wrong. But okay, drain oil as you normally would after the oil is drained. See, it's magnetic, so it's kind of sticking here. Okay. After the oil is drained, you can clean around the exterior of the oil pan, around the hole, as well as cleaning out the inside of the hole where the plug will go with a clean rag. Place some engine oil on the large blue O-ring, which is right there, of the new plug, and ensure the wave spring, which is that thing I've been messing around with, washer is installed on the plug. Note on the outer rim of the black plug there is one notch that is cut through. So you can see that right there. See how that one's cut through and the rest of them are just normal notches. Line this up in about the 7 to 8 o'clock position. So you're going to be kind of like that. 6 would be here, just slightly up. And insert the plug into the oil pan hole and then start to turn it clockwise. You'll be turning against the spring pressure, so it'll be necessary to push inward against the spring as you turn the plug. To get an idea of the way it's installed, you can do a dry run without the spring to see how it's supposed to feel. We probably won't do that. When the notch gets to the top, the 12 o'clock position, after a few turns probably, you may hear or feel a pop into the detent. It is now installed. The gold-colored cap, when screwed in, should have the logo facing upright, and you should see RoninFactory.com text on the outer rim of the black plug. Well, that's down there, which is just the opposite. Remember, you're laying down, so you're going to be seeing that, and the emblem is up, so that makes sense. To ensure that it is in, lightly try to twist the plug in either direction or pull out on it. It should not come out. It may wiggle a little bit up and down, but that's okay. Okay, so that's all you'll have to do for install. Make sure the gold cap is hand tightened all the way down. The old ring on the gold cap will keep it from loosening. Place the draining tool, which is this little attachment I had talked about, in the glove box or center console where you won't lose it. So this is one thing you got to keep in mind. Once you do install this plug, you may not be able to go to a dealer or something like that to get an oil change. If you do, you're going to have to explain to them, keep these instructions, and let them know what they need to do. They no longer have to remove everything, they just remove the cap. It should come off like that. When you do that, the oil will not come out. It'll require this little draining tool, which I think if I bought a hose for this, it might help. Connect a hose to that, screw it in, and then there shouldn't be any spillage at all. I'm not doing a change with this yet. I'm going to install it. I'll buy some sort of hose and do a follow-up video for you. But let's see here. Draining. So to ensure you get the most oil out, you'll want to angle the truck so that the bottom of the oil pan is towards the drain hole. Use safe judgment. This is not required, just a tip. Begin as you would normally by having the engine warm. Safely secure the vehicle before you get under it. Remove any underbottom panels to get to the plug. Unscrew the gold cap like I just did by hand and set aside. Place oil drain pan under the engine. Slowly screw in the drain tool piece. As you screw it in, oil will start to flow. Screw it all the way in by hand and let drain for a few minutes. So that's a simple. Now, one thing to keep in mind is this is plastic, so you're not going to want to strip it. But there is an O-ring there, and that's going to create a seal. And you're going to screw this in. And that'll end up going all the way in, and at some point, see what's happening when I'm screwing that in, you can see this back end of the plug actually being pushed out. You can see that. See how it's kind of going in, and that's what's going to release the oil. So when you're screwing this in, this piece is being pushed out. The oil will then flow through like any normal oil change. As you screw it in, oil will start to flow. Screw it all the way in by hand and let it drain for a few minutes. Once it's stopped draining, remove the oil drain tool by unscrewing it by hand. Clean any excess oil away as you normally would. Screw the gold cap back down by hand. And again, keep this tool in the glove box where you're not going to lose it. If you lose this, I guess you're going to have to contact Ronin Factory and buy another one. Alright guys, one thing to keep in mind, the oil pan plugs require a 15 millimeter socket. When you first break that plug free, watch your knuckles, because there's a couple bolts over here, and that's exactly where your knuckles end up. Okay guys, we are down to a very, very slow drip. So I am going to get under there. I am going to wipe up the area, and I'm going to install the Ronin Factory quick drain plug. You want to start again with that notch kind of in the 7 or 8 o'clock position. I have run into my first problem. This thing is built to replace the yellow plastic oil pan cap. This one is way too big. This is not built since Ford changed their plug to the metal plug. Those plastic plugs are a lot bigger. I'm just realizing that now. So this is not going to work. I'm going to contact Ronin factory and find out if they've made one for the new oil plug. But in the meantime, that is going back in the box. And what we will do is install the original plug. Well, that's disappointing. I was really wanted to install this thing. Okay. So again, I got to get my hand up in there. I'm going to use my left hand, put my body under here. I think it's going to be hard to see. So we will just put the camera back here. So, after I get what I think is 6 quarts in there, you don't want to put too much. So what I'll do is I'll button this up, start it, we'll measure it, make sure nothing's leaking. If we need to add more, we'll add a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this one more time. So, overall, oil changes on the Gen2 Raptor are very simple. You can crawl under the vehicle, so you don't need ramps, you don't need any kind of jack to get under there, for most people at least. Now, the most difficult thing you're going to find is reaching your arm up inside that small little opening trying to get the oil filter off. And if it's the first one, either from the factory like mine was, or maybe a garage or a dealership did it, they may have torqued that thing on there pretty tight, and I could not get it off by hand. You're going to have to get a tool or do the old-fashioned trick where you take a screwdriver, tap it through, and crank it. But there's not a lot of room in there, so to do the screwdriver trick may not work for you. So prepare ahead of time for your very first oil change with these. I would buy some sort of ratcheting tool. If you already have one, great. But have something on hand, because if that thing is torqued down there, you will not get it off with your bare hand. It just will not turn. So that's the only difficult part. Now, the real purpose of this video is not doing an oil change. We all know how to do that. I wanted to highlight the Ronin quick oil change plug. Now, when the Raptors first came out, a lot of us are familiar with the yellow plastic plug, drain pan plug that they came with, and everyone complained about it. They all broke. I mean, it was kind of a one and done, and you had to go buy a new plug for a few bucks from the dealer. Well, somewhere in the production cycle of 2018, they switched back over to a normal metal drain plug. I think it used a 15mm socket to take it off. So the Ronin quick oil change plug that I had bought does not fit. They made that specifically for a replacement to the yellow plug, which was much bigger diameter. So I've reached out to them already, but it's Saturday, Mother's Day weekend. But I've reached out to them. They're a great group of guys. I'm sure they'll get back to me. I do not know if they've made a new one for the updated Ford model. I'm assuming this oil pan plug is the same one for all the F-150s before they went to that plastic garbage. So, and I don't know if that plastic piece of garbage was unique to the Raptor. I have a feeling it was. Why they did it, I don't know. If they were thinking weight or what, but they quickly realized it was garbage and went to a normal plug. So hopefully Ronin can send me a new plug. If that's the case, in another couple months I'll just do another oil change real quick and highlight that product one more time, or attempt to. In the meantime, like I said, I've reached out to them. Hopefully they'll take this back as an exchange and I can get another one and give you guys my opinion on it. But even without putting it in, I can tell you it's super nice quality. And I think it's going to be extremely convenient. The only thing to keep in mind is that if you decide to ever pay for an oil change afterwards, you're going to have to explain to a mechanic how it works. Have a mechanic that you know is somewhat competent. I don't know. If you took it to the Ford dealer, what are they going to say? Are they going to huff and puff and screw it up? I mean, a caveman can do it. It's easy. It's a matter of screwing in the little adapter, the oil drains out. Will they strip it? You know, it's plastic. Those are my only concerns. You're almost stuck in a position where you need to do all your oil changes from that point forward. But if something comes up, you're unable to do them anymore, you want to sell the truck, you do not want to lose the adapter, otherwise you can't drain it. You'd have to get a replacement. I don't know. When you go to sell a vehicle, most people aren't looking at the oil pan, so maybe you just don't even bring it up. But how do you not bring it up without telling them, hey, you're going to have to hang on to this little plug? I guess if they cry about it enough, you'll say, fine, I'll take it out for you. You do a quick oil change, you take it out. Always keep the original plug and then sell it that way. I don't know. I'm probably looking way too far into the future on this, thinking way too deep into it. But anyway, so far that's my experience with this. I will do a follow-up as soon as I hear back from Ronin. Thanks, guys. Happy Mother's Day, everybody, and have a great day. All right, guys, I know I told you I was going to reach out to Ronin Factory and give you their response, which I did. So it's been a week. I figured let me just add this to the end of the video to make it nice and all right there. You don't have to watch a second video to find out what happened. So customer service got back to me, and let me say 2 thumbs up to them. They are going to refund me. Apparently this was strictly made for the yellow oil pan plug that was plastic as a replacement. They do not make one for the standard metal oil pan plug, and they do not plan on making one, unfortunately. I love the product. I love the idea of it. I thought even with the metal plug, the fact that I could attach a hose to this and never have any drips, and the convenience of it, great idea. If you have a plastic plug, I would certainly look into this. The website for Ronin Factory will be in my description below, a link to their webpage. Now, I know they make other stuff too. It's not just for the Ford Raptor. I think they make stuff for Dodge, for Chevy, and I think they make some gun stuff. So check out the website. Like I said, great group of people. The customer service is absolute top-notch. They worked with me with this problem. You know, we had assumed that I had a yellow plug. A lot of the 18s did, but my truck was built in April of 2018, and what I'm hearing now is that sometime in March they switched back from that yellow crappy plastic plug to a standard metal plug, which good for Ford. But unfortunately this doesn't work with that, and they do not plan to make one that will. So we will return this. We will do normal oil changes from this point forward, and again, if you have a chance, go check out their website. It's not a sponsored video or anything like that, but when I find a company that stands behind their product and their customer service is top-notch, I just want to share that information with you guys. So thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. See you on the next one.